I've been playing my Xbox One quite a bit again. Throughout most of the Xbox One's lifespan, I didn't really like this console. That is, until right now. You know, gaming can be really expensive, especially if you want to dive into one of the new consoles. $500 for a PS5 or a Series X. That's just too much for me, and that's why I haven't hopped in. They're not even that new. It's been, like 4 years? One of the best parts about consoles is typically you can get used games for a substantial discount. However, since 2020, the used game market has been pretty crazy, very expensive with a lot of people jumping in. So the value has kind of decreased. That is, on the Xbox side, it really hasn't shifted all that much. Yeah, there's some titles that have inflated big time, but for the most part, you can get older 360 games and older Xbox One games used for a great price. And it's kind of a perfect time because I've been really craving playing some of my older 360 games like Skate 2. So in the video, I want to talk about the Xbox One in 2024, the original VCR, the Xbox One X, and some awesome games that you can play. And to wrap it all up, Game Pass, the value that it offers versus buying used. Specifically, I don't really think Game Pass makes sense for me anymore. And I want to start there. I think Game Pass was awesome. I think it still actually is pretty cool, but from a pricing perspective, I think it's important to look at what you get these days and kind of measure what's important to you. It's $16.99 a month for Game Pass Ultimate. That's $204 a year. Now, I miss the days where you could get a bunch of the $1 months and stack them together and push it out. It does feel like that system is coming to an end. And I really am appreciating ownership at this point where I don't want to worry about my game coming off of Game Pass. I don't want to worry that I'm leaving a bunch of value on the table, just letting the subscription roll over month after month. I mean, if you really want to make Game Pass worthwhile, you need to play a ton of different games, or you really want a bunch of the day one games on it. So I took $200. I wanted to go see what you could get in the used market on the Xbox side. And I came up with a pretty solid list of games that I really enjoy that I think are very strong staples in a bunch of different genres for players to check out. And I started deep diving eBay to see what you could get online for most of these games. And so for the cost of 1 year of Xbox Game Pass, you can own 21 awesome Xbox games. You can sell them if you don't like them or you finish them and you're just done with them. You never have to worry about them rolling out of Game Pass, and you don't actually have to worry about this never-ending subscription if you ever want to go back and play these again years down the road. So Dark Souls 3, awesome option for the Xbox One, $8. You can get Dark Souls 2, Scholar of the First Sin, $12. Assassin's Creed, the Ezio Collection for $12. I mean, you can get the Mass Effect Legendary Edition used on eBay Xbox One, about $9. That is crazy, like right there for less than the cost, like half the cost of 1 month of Game Pass. You've got 3 games that theoretically could last you a few months depending on how much you play each day. Fallout New Vegas for $6.56. And what's kind of cool here too is a lot of the 360 games have seen love from the Xbox backwards compatibility team. So Mirror's Edge looks absolutely fantastic. Final Fantasy 13 you can get for $5, okay, used on eBay. And the backwards compatibility team has done some really cool work here where on the Xbox 360 originally, there's a ton of movie files on Final Fantasy 13, like tons and tons of gigabytes of these big movie files. And on the PlayStation 3, they were in a higher resolution than that of the 360 version. They've actually gone back into Final Fantasy 13 and replaced all of the FMVs, the full motion videos, with the higher quality ones. So it looks really, really good. And I think this is one of the backbones of why I'm enjoying playing the old Xbox One again. If you have an Xbox One X, you typically will get some nice enhancements. And honestly, if there's a 360 game you are curious about and want to learn more, Digital Foundry has done a ton of deep dives on plenty of the games that the Xbox backwards compatibility team have put a ton of work into. Skate 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. You can get it used for $16. Grand Theft Auto 4, $8. Red Dead Redemption 2, $12. Dragon Age Origins, $5. Halo MCC seems to have gone up in price. I know I've seen this thing for $10 at like a GameStop, but it's about $17 online right now. Gears of War, Ultimate and Gears of War 3, they're both about $10. If you really want to go super budget, you can get Skyrim on the 360 for $350. If you want to bump it up, spend a little bit more, I think it's about $15 for some of the different Xbox One versions. Titanfall 2, you got to have this one in your collection. You can pick it up for $3. The Orange Box is a huge recommendation. You're going to get Half-Life 2, it's enhanced for Xbox One X, and it has Portal 2, which is just a phenomenal game. So good. Star Wars Republic Commando for $9, Metal Gear Solid 5 for $6, the absolutely incredible Ori and the Will of the Wisps for just $13, and then finally, you can pick up The Witcher 3 for about $6. All of that brings you in right around $200. And this is why I'm now looking at the Xbox One a little differently here in 2024. Yeah, there's quite a few games that are not supported on the backwards compatibility side. That's partly why I've kept around my Xbox 360, so I can go play games like Ace Combat 6 or the original Ninja Gaiden. But I have to say, Microsoft's dedication to the backwards compatibility support is pretty top tier. Some of the upscaling and the cool improvements that can be had on the Xbox One X is pretty great, especially if you have older games that you want to play. And as I mentioned, that used market really hasn't blown up the same way that the older consoles have gone through like the last few years. As always, when you're deciding about budget decisions, there are compromises to be made. If you're looking at buying an Xbox One in 2024, just a few thoughts that I've had. You can get the original VCR Xbox One for like $70 to $80 on eBay. You can get the Xbox One X for about $120 to $150. Just kind of depends. There's definitely more of a market buying the One X's because of the backwards compat enhancements. But you also can get a Series S for about $300. And the Series S is a really nice option where you're getting all of the benefits mentioned here, but also sort of the future proofing that will last you a little bit longer. So you really got to decide how much money you want to throw towards these things. The Series S does make a lot of sense to me if you're looking towards the future. However, if you're wanting to, let's say, buy a 1X for $120, $130, you've got $80 then left in budget to pick quite a few games that you can get used, and that will last you a ton of time. I will say, when I was recording this video and I got Skate 2 running last night, and I was finally able to get over to the Mega Compound, which is like the mega ramp in the game, so many emotions just came back, so much nostalgia, because I remember buying this game. I still have the receipt from GameStop in the box. It was like 2009, I think, when I got it, and I would play this with a great friend over and over again, and I remember just sessioning that mega ramp with him for hours and hours, and I think we did this for like weeks and months. And so to jump back and remember one of my favorite eras and to see it in a really nice way was surprising. Oftentimes with gaming, it's always this is shutting down and you can't touch this and you can't play this anymore. And it is kind of sad, the 360 storefront is shutting down. But I really do appreciate a console that supports and encourages playing some of the older titles within the library without having you rebuy it 50 different times. And ultimately, that's why I recommend looking into this. If you have interest, the Xbox market right now is a pretty great way to try some cool things for not a ton of money. I want to thank you for watching the video. If you have any thoughts about Xbox One, older consoles, any of this stuff, I would love to hear your comments down below. Hope you have a great start to your week. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and we'll see you again in the next one.